Hi, welcome to It's All About the Yarn Knitting Podcast. My name is Kate and I'm coming to you from southeastern Idaho in the United States. I live out in the country on a small property where I am surrounded by potato farms. I used to raise Shetland sheep, but we've retired from that occupation. So it's just me, my husband, my dog Belle, and my cat Boromir. But I love yarn. I have been knitting, spinning, dyeing, weaving for more than 35 years. Some of those things more than others, but during the pandemic, I really discovered knitting podcasts and they were my salvation, making it through that time that we all went through. So I decided to do my own podcast to share my own creative journey. I do a lot of different things. My main focus will be knitting, but I will also be sharing my dyeing experiments, my spinning that I've been doing, maybe even some of my art and weaving. I do multi-harness weaving and I've recently become a tapestry weaver. So I have a lot of interests that will hopefully entertain you. I'm not going to be one of those podcasts that you see a new sweater every week. I'm pretty much a slow knitter. And I would not be putting out quite as much as a lot of other podcasters do, but there'll be a variety. So hopefully that will be of interest to you. You can find me on Ravelry and on Instagram as Kate Spin, Katespin. I'll put that information also in the show notes. And if you find this interesting, then click the subscribe button so you'll know when I post a video again. So let's get to what I've been working on. I recently went through something where I've lost a bunch of weight and the sweater I was working on was way too big, so I had to rip the whole thing out. So it really made me rethink, do I want to really be working on sweaters at this point? So I pulled out some old projects and I am working on a couple different things. I wanted to teach myself brioche, so I pulled out this old brioche project that wasn't going very well. It's a hat. This is what it is. It's knit in Knit Picks Wool of the Andes in Haze Heather and Haze Heather and Amethyst Heather, I think is the other color. But here's what I've got so far. I do have a little blip down at the beginning that I have to take down and figure out how to fix. But other than that, there's the hat I'm going to start working on again. Even though I said I wasn't going to work on sweaters, I am attempting to try and do this sweater. It's called Violet. Let me pull out the picture so you can see it. Violet is by Jessa McDonald Design. It's a simple summer sweater. I've not knit many summer sweaters, so I thought I would give this a try and thought it might be okay because it's a drop shoulder. So I might have a better time fitting it on me. I am not very far. This is just like the back yoke. So it's in a cotton wool blend from Wool Dreamers. And I'll probably destroy these names, so please bear with me. Siona? In the colorway, it's Groen, so it must be the word for green in this language. But I think these company from Spain. But anyways, it's a pretty color, be a nice summer sweater. So we'll see how that comes out. That's been my main focus, which led me to thinking, okay, what other work in progresses do I have that I have kind of put aside? So this one is called Icarus, and I have forgotten the name of the designer. I am sorry. I will put it in the show notes. But I've got quite a bit done. As you can see, this is the top. This is the top. And I've got a few more lace repeats down at the bottom to do. But it is really hard to work on black, okay? Can't really see what that looks like, but this is some hand spun and it has a metallic thread going through it. So that doubles the difficulty of working on black yarn. But I found that I was working on it last time in the summer with the sun shining on it, that it was much easier to use. So I'm tackling those few projects at this point. But I got some future ideas of things to work on. And that is, Stephen West is doing a mystery sock along that starts in a week, I think. So these are the two colors that I picked. They are Retroceria Mondim. It's a Portuguese wool, and they're in color 114 and color 301. So his only requirement is to have contrasting colors. So I pulled these out of my stash, so we'll see how that progresses when that starts. Stephen West is always fun, so I'm sure that sock along, knit along, whatever you want to call it, will be lots of fun. I also follow the black knitter, the black sheep knitter, and she's doing a make along in September. So I have decided to play along, and I have always wanted to make the ranunculus. I'm sure a lot of you people who are watching have made that. But this is some hand spun yarn of mine. It is spun a long time ago. I've been saving this for quite a while, but it has a little metallic thread in it also, and I'm usually not that much of a metallic girl, but this yarn does have just a little bit of glitz in it, but it's a very soft, soft wool blend. And I've been saving it to do the ranunculus. So come September, I'm going to join in her make along, so I can actually get that sweater made. So those are the two things knitting wise that I plan on working on in the future. So let's talk a little bit about some acquisitions that I've gotten recently. It's a box full, sorry. I went to a spin-in with our local guild, and our local dyer showed up, and she goes by the name Blue Savannah. And so I picked up this skein of, it is merino, superwash merino cashmere nylon. And I just love the colors. So I'm pairing it with this silk mohair that she also dyed. And this other colorway, which is also the merino cashmere nylon. I think that together in a shawl. I haven't picked a pattern out, but I'm trying to do more of, when I go buy places, it's not just to buy one skein of yarn, but to either come up with a project or a possible project. So I did that a little bit with that, and in a couple of these others that I'm going to show you. I went to the Great Basin Fiber Fair a month or so ago. That's down in the Salt Lake area, and picked up a couple of fun things. One thing I want to talk about was this sock yarn that I bought. It's from the One String, and I just love the color. I love when dyers just pick, they call their colors something really interesting, and so this one's called Poison Apple, so I had to grab it. It's a nice tonal red, and actually what it is it's targhee, not merino, and it really answered a question for me from a long time. I have a pair of socks that I knit by the same dyer, and they've always been my favorite socks, and I didn't understand why, and I realized targhee makes a much better sock yarn than merino does. So we'll look forward to making some socks out of that colorway. This next one is some Surrey alpaca, and this is by Witchfire Fibers. It's 74% baby Surrey alpaca, 26% mulberry silk. I just loved all the colors in that. So I picked another couple skeins of her yarns to actually pair with it. Same idea, could be a future shawl, could add more to it as I go and make something else, but these are merino nylon, superwash merino nylon, and then with the Surrey, I think they really will make a beautiful piece. And then the last thing that I'm going here to show was another, I was drawn to this woman's yarn. She's called Yarn Nouveau, and her colors were just so different from everyone else's. In fact, This color, when I look at it, I don't even know how to describe it. It kind of looks more red in the picture, but it's kind of a brown, but kind of a brick, but not. And the colorway is called Black Coral. So I paired a few of her other yarns with it. This one is called Wickham, if you know Pride and Prejudice. That's who she named her colorways off of. But this one's Superwash Merino Cashmere Nylon, as is this one too. And then I added a fourth because the silk mohair was just so pretty. And I think these will really look lovely all together in a shawl. So those are some acquisitions that I've gotten. So I'm not always going to just talk about knitting. I will talk about dyeing and spinning because I do those things as well. These are a couple over dyes I just did. I dyed this yarn last year and the color just didn't come out. I'm kind of an intuitive dyer. It didn't quite come out the color that I was looking for, so I put them back in the dye pad and added more dye. I got a really deep burgundy with this one. And even though it's solid, there is a little bit of tonal capabilities in it. Don't have a project for it yet. Just wanted to yarn that color. And then this one is kind of more of a cranberry compared to that. Same thing. There's lots of shades within that, which I was just lucky to get. So I'm very pleased with how those came out. So that's fun. I took a dye class from Rebecca Mezoff just a little while ago, and I'm going to be doing a lot of experimenting with repeatable colors and all that jazz, but that will probably be in future podcasts. Spinning wise, I am spinning this silk. It's right here. This is some silk I dyed a couple years ago, and it's pretty much turquoise, but it does have some variations within the turquoise. Little bits of yellow that you probably won't see here on the picture, but that's what it's looking like. The singles are looking like spun up so far, but I think it's going to make a beautiful yarn that I could blend with other silk yarns that I have because I have quite a collection. And this is my latest spinning. It comes from a braid from Carolyn Greenwood of Greenwood Fiberworks called Amethyst. She does these colorways on the birthstones, and then they're only available during that time. And then she does them again the next year. But when I was spinning this, it just seemed like there wasn't much contrast in color. But after it's a 3-ply, and after I plied it, there's just so much richness in different shades of it. This is probably going to knit up like as a DK. So don't know what I'll use it exactly for. That's what happens with my spinning a lot. I don't necessarily have a plan other than just just spinning it. And speaking of spinning, I am going to be doing Tour de Fleece. Tour de Fleece is a spinning adventure, I guess you might call it, that's based on the Tour de France. And you spin every day that the bikers spin. And then there's challenges to spin. So my local guild is doing a group, and I hope to get a whole bunch of spinning done for 3 weeks in July. So that will be fun and get a lot of work done. Challenge myself to do a couple. I think on the challenge days, I'm going to pick some fibers that I'm not that familiar with and practice on those. I thought I would show you my scarf just because I just don't seem to be wearing it. But this is batik, and those were dragonflies. For those who want to know what she's wearing, these are dragonflies. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was weaving. I don't have any tapestry to show, or really anything finished right now to show, but a future idea. The future idea is I want to weave this, what's called a gamp, okay? It'll be a wall hanging, and it's using these colors. Let's see, they have slipped behind me. Okay, so it's 4 colors of flamingo. This is just yarn, and they sell this yarn for weaving tapestry and also regular for harness weaving. So I'm going to be using these 4 colors of flamingo and these 4 colors of marigold. And the whole thing about a gamp is seeing the interaction between colors. Sometimes it's a weave structure, sometimes it's just color. This one's just going to be color. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun to actually explore with that. And I will talk more about that when that gets going. I have something else on my loom that needs to be woven off first before I can get to it. So that's definitely a future project that I plan on doing. I'm also an artist. I might show some art at some point, but it's not the focus right now. So it'll be mostly knitting, mostly spinning, acquisitions, of course. I am going to Rhinebeck for the first time this fall, so I am sure I'm going to be coming back with lots of things that will be fun to see and share that experience as much as I can as well. If you find this content interesting, I hope you come back. And I don't know how often I'm going to do a video. With me just being myself, I don't know if they'll be very long or long-winded unless I get on a tangent about some facet of knitting. They will probably be relatively short. So maybe once a month, maybe once every couple of weeks, depending on how things are going. So if you find it interesting, please subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.